Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope everybody is doing good. I am super pumped to share these basic Photoshop skills with you today, so let's get into it. Well, obviously Photoshop is something that can be very intimidating to beginners because it just looks like a lot of information and you just don't know where to start. So today I am here to help you with that. First things first, to create a new document or canvas, you want to go to your left top corner and you want to go to New File. So this is going to open up another panel where you can adjust the size, the resolution, the color mode, and some other things. So as of right now, I'm just going to name this Test, like that. I'm going to keep the width at 8.5 and the height at 11. So I'm going with a standard letter sized canvas. So down below you have the resolution. You want to keep this between 150 and 300 ppi. So ppi is basically just pixels per inch. The higher the number, the more resolution. But you also don't want to go too high because then it'll just kind of corrupt the whole file and it just won't look good. So I suggest just keeping it at 300. If you go a little bit lower, you see the color mode, which is currently at RGB. You have a lot of different ones that you can choose from, like bitmap, grayscale, RGB, CMYK, and lab color. So I'm just going to quickly explain the difference between RGB and CMYK. RGB is used for things like computer screens or iPhone screens, basically anything that is not getting printed. The reason for this is because RGB color just shows up more colorful. CMYK color is used for printing things. So if you are going to create a business card that is getting printed, you want to be sure to have the canvas in CMYK color mode. Here, just going back to the width and height, you can adjust the measurement unit. Over here you have a lot of different ones that you can choose from. Most people, they always work in inches. That's just kind of a universal design thing. So that is basically all you need to create your initial document. The next step you want to do is you want to go over to Create. So now you are in your Photoshop editor where you can create your document. So the first thing I want to talk about is your layers panel. This is located on the right side of your screen over here. So the first thing, you're always going to have your document start with a layered background. Usually it looks something like this with a little lock. It just means that you can't edit or move it around. So if you ever want to move it around or delete it or do whatever with it, just make sure to click this little lock that it goes away. So how do you create a layer? Well, you go down to this little plus sign and you can create a layer. So as you can see, it now created a layer 1. So think of your layers basically like a layer cake. At the end, you have all these different layers that make up your whole cake. One thing that you want to remember with your layers is once you have more than one layer, let's say you have 20 different layers, just make sure that you keep them all separate and don't combine them. Otherwise you cannot move them around separately anymore, and that can sometimes be a real pain because all of a sudden you have to move something around or you want to move it around, and if you combine it all, you can no longer do that. Next up, I am going to talk about how to import a photo or file into your canvas. So there's two ways to do this. One way is you go up to your file and you hit place linked. So then comes up a panel with all your different images. You can also go to your photos. I am on a Mac, so on a Windows computer it is going to look a little bit different, but essentially it is the same process to get there. So I'm just gonna pick one. Let's say I'm gonna add this photo. I'm gonna choose the photo and click place. So that is going to give me my photo. Another way to add this is by going to your files, and you're going to choose the file that you want to choose. So again, I'm just going to choose a random file like this one, and what you want to do is you just want to click your mouse and you want to drag it, and you can drop it like this, it'll load and then it'll come up. So this is a way that you can add your photos to your canvases. I'm going to be using this picture to show you some different tools that you can use with a picture. So on your left side is your tools panel. So yours might look something more like this, where it's just a straight line. It's essentially the same thing. First thing I want to talk about is how to move a picture around. So here, this is your move tool. You want to make sure that your layer over here is selected that you want to move. So once that is selected, you can just click your mouse and you can drag it wherever you would like. To downscale it or do whatever you want with it, you want to go edit and you want to go to free transform. So this is going to create a bounding box around your image. So if you drag a corner, it's going to upscale or downscale it without deforming it. Should you ever want to deform your picture, you just want to hit Shift on your keyboard and you can now drag it and stretch it out. But the next tool I want to talk about is the Marac tool. You can also choose an elliptical, single row or single column tool by just clicking your right mouse key. And again, you want to have the layer selected that you want to modify. So let's say I'm just gonna do a little rectangle like this. So this is basically just a bounding box. You want to cut out a piece of this picture, you can click your right mouse and you can go layer via copy. So I'm gonna hit that. And as you can see, it now created a new layer. So if I click on this eye right here, this basically just turns off the picture that you no longer see it. It's still gonna be there, but you just can't see it. So if I click on this eye, as you can see, that big picture is now gone and just the picture that I cut out is here. So the next thing is going to be lasso tool. So this is a really cool tool to cut out things that are more detailed. So let's say I want to cut out whatever she's wearing. I can just kind of go like this. If I see this corner or this little curve coming up, as you can see, I cannot just go like that, otherwise it won't select it properly. So you want to go slow with this one, and I'm going to go click. And then as you can see, this is now tied to this point right here, and I can continue to do the same. And now it's tied to this point. So that's just kind of what you want to do with this tool. As you can see, not only this piece right here is selected. If you want to deselect something that you selected, just click on the right side of your mouse and go to deselect, and it'll deselect it. This tool, it is a quick selection tool. It's just kind of a tool that can help you select something really quickly. So let's say you want to select her glasses that she's wearing. You can just drag your mouse, and as you can see, it automatically selects whatever you want to select. If I want to select her lips, I can start dragging and the AI will kind of find the curves on the lips and just select that. The thing I want to talk about is your eyedropper tool. So this is just a way to select color really quickly without having to go to your colors all the time and figure out the exact shade of red, as an example, that her lips are. So what I can do is I can select the eyedropper tool and I can just click on her lips. And now, as you can see over here, you can now see that it's that exact shade of red where I clicked it. If I go a little bit more over here, as you can see, the color changes as I drag my mouse over. The next thing is a blemish tool. So this is used for things like spot healing. Say you want to take away this little dot that she has below her lips. You can downscale the size of the brush. One way is on your keyboard where the brackets are, and you can just press the bracket that is basically opening up to the right side. You can hit that and it just goes smaller. So you can adjust the size that way. If you want to make it bigger, just hit the bracket that is opening up to the left side on your keyboard. So you can do that. Up here you can also adjust the hardness, and I'm gonna show you. As you can see like a little deformation here. If I put the hardness a little bit lower, as you can see, it's much of a smoother process. Next up is the frame tool. Right here I am going to create a frame. So this is basically a frame tool, like you would be framing a picture. So as you can see over here, it says frame 1. So if I want to add a picture to this frame, create this picture. As you can see, I can drag and drop that into this frame that I put on here, and this is great for when creating a document with a lot of pictures that need perfect spacing or to help you get that exact size that you'd like. Thing is the crop tool. You can crop this. If I want to just have this as my picture on the canvas, I can just crop it to whatever is my liking and then hit enter. So that is now going to be my cropped canvas. If you made a mistake, you can just hit Command Z on your keyboard and it'll go back to the last state that it was in. This thing is your brush tool. So this is your brush tool. You can adjust the hardness of the brush. So I'm going to show you the difference between a hard brush and a soft brush. So right now it is on a hard brush. You can adjust the size with the brackets. So with a hard brush, this is what it looks like. It's perfectly round and basically has no blur to it. If you adjust the hardness to 0 or somewhere in between, as you can see now it's way less hard and it's more of a blur on the outside edges. A way that you can adjust the color of this is by going over here and clicking different colors. That way you can draw different colors, or you can go onto your right side of the screen and adjust the colors there. So next thing I want to talk about is the clone tool. This is great for things like cloning, say a wall. I'm just going to hit the Option key on my keyboard. You can choose the place that you want to clone with. So if I click up on her forehead, that is now going to be the clone stamp that I'm going to carry on and that I can add to another part of the canvas, like that. As I move my mouse back and forth, as you can see that little plus sign, that is just where my clone stamp is coming from. The eraser tool, the name literally says it all. Again, you can use your brackets to make it smaller and bigger. It's a tool. I'm just going to draw something with my brush tool like this. And with the eraser tool, you can essentially just erase it. Also adjust the hardness like you can with the brush tool. This again feathers out more. What I mean by feather is feathering is just basically the blur that the brush has. If the hardness is up to 100, there will be no blur, and if it's down to 0, there will be lots of blur. Thing I find really cool is the gradient tool. So there are a lot of different presets already made in Photoshop. You can adjust the size by holding down Shift and just dragging your mouse to whatever size that you want it. So if you want to change the color of the whole entire gradient itself, you can go over to your presets, and there are lots of ones that you can choose from. If you want to make your own gradient color, you can just scroll a little bit downwards, and as you can see the different color sliders right here. Should you want to change the colors, you can just double click and a color panel will come up. So let's say I want to make this a red color. I can just move it around and click OK. And as you can see, it is now over here that the color has changed. If I want to do this blue, I can just click that. Let's say I want to make it a yellow, I can do that as well. If I want to add more than just 2 sliders, you just click a little bit down below the bar and your mouse will turn into this little plus. So you can just press it like that and you can move it around however you'd like, and you can also adjust the color once again by just double clicking it and adding color. If you want to save the gradient that you made as a preset, just go up here and you can click the plus sign. You can give it a name, so I'm just going to name it yellow, green, and red, and I'm going to click OK. And as you can see, it is now added to your panel over here that you can use whenever you want from now on. Another thing is the smudge tool. I don't use this too often. One thing I do want to add though is it's great for like little things, so if you just want to smudge a tiny little bit, feel free to use it. Next tool is the sponge tool. So I also don't use this very often, but basically what it is you can kind of sponge out the color. Essentially what it does, it erases the colors. So if you have, let's say, a picture where the teeth are yellow and you want to whiten these teeth, you can use the sponge tool to basically scrape off the yellow bits and it'll turn into a white tooth and not be yellow anymore. Now we're back here. Pen tool. This is great for making paths or shapes. So what I mean is you can click and hold, and as you can see, you can move the line around. The line that you see, which is curved, is the line that is going to show up on the screen afterwards. So if I want to make a curved line like that, and I want to add another one like here, as you can see, it follows this line right here. So that's basically all that the pen tool does. You can also adjust the stroke size up here on the top of your screen. You can adjust the slider, and as you can see, the thickness adjusts as well. You can also add color to this. Let's say I want to make it blue. I can make it blue just like that. Text tool. This is something that you're definitely going to use a lot when creating Photoshop documents and amongst other things in other softwares. Text is an essential thing, so it's definitely a good thing to know about how to navigate and use it. So the way you can use the text tool in your Photoshop document is you just want to click your mouse and you want to hold it and drag it out. So this is what you're going to see. This is just filler text. It just helps you visualize what the font will look like on your canvas. I can edit this by just typing something like hello everyone. So one way to change the color on this font is I can just select it and I can go over here on the left side of my screen and adjust the color. Another way that I can do that is by going up to the top and hitting this little icon right here, and you can adjust the color as well and see it in real time how it changes. So if you're familiar with moving text around, to move your text around you can go back to the move tool and you can just move it wherever you'd like. If you would like to adjust the size, you can just double click to select it again, and over here you can select the point size. I can also put in my own point size, which may not be a preset, so let's say 12.5, and I'm just going to hit enter, and that is what it's going to be. To change the font, you can go to your character and you're going to click on here and you can select a bunch of different fonts right here. So you can import some other fonts that you can get free off the internet. If you want to download more fonts just in Adobe itself, you can go over here, fonts, by clicking on this, and it'll take you to the Adobe website where you can download all these different fonts. One thing I do want to talk about is the zoom tool, which is just a really cool tool to zoom in and out of your canvas in a fast way. So the best way to do that is if you press down on your mouse and you pull to the left side, you're going to zoom out. And if you press down on your mouse and you pull to your right, you are going to zoom in. So that is just a really cool way to just move around and quickly zoom in and out of your canvas. The very final thing I want to talk about is how to export a file. So what you're going to do is once you're happy with your design, you can go to the file on the top, and what you want to do is you want to go to Save As. So this is going to open up your files, and you can save it to whatever you'd like. You can select the different format. If the format that you want to export it in is not listed there, go to File and go to Export and then Export As. And as you can see, you can now select it as a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF. So you can also select the resolution that you want to export it, the canvas size, the image size. So that's just something you can also play with. And once you're happy with the file that you want, you can just hit export and it'll save it to your computer. So that is everything for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, make sure to comment down below and I will be happy to help you. Be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great day.